sheriff in town. That's the ANC Gauteng Chairperson Panyaza Lesufi being elected there in the Gauteng legislature as the new premier, taking over from the outgoing premier, David Makhura. Our reporter, Moloko Moloto, was at the Gauteng legislature and is joining us now live for the latest. Good afternoon, Moloko. Well, it's done and dusted. Panyaza Lesufi is now the new premier of Gauteng. Just take us through the numbers. We understand that Lesufi won through a secret ballot.
That is very true, Braden. It's all over now. Panyaza Lesufi is officially the premier of Gauteng province. He replaces David Makhura, who I must say was present in the legislature today to witness the election of the ANC provincial chairperson as his successor. And we had the premier, the new premier, in his acceptance speech, even acknowledging and defining or describing his predecessor as a dynamic and humble servant of the people. In terms of the numbers, Braden, you will understand that in the Gauteng legislature there are 73 members of the legislature. The ANC is leading with slender majority with 37 seats. In other words, they are only leading with one seat. Now, you have the Democratic Alliance with 22 seats. So what happened here was that the EFF, which is the third largest political party in the legislature, with 11 seats, just after nomination, before voting started, we saw the EFF walking out. So they did not vote. Now, when after voting, we heard from the presiding officer, Deputy Judge President Obrile Dwaba, telling us that the ANC has actually won with 38 votes, meaning the ANC managed to get an additional vote from one of the opposition parties. Now, we don't know who is that MPL who voted with the ANC, because so far the other smaller parties that are here are the FF Plus, which has 3 seats in the legislature. Now, I'm not too sure if our viewers would believe that an FF plus MPL will vote for the ANC. The other smaller parties are the ACDP as well as the IFP, which both have 1 seat. So we saw the ANC having at least one vote from the opposition, and then the Democratic Alliance, which, as I said, in the legislature has 20 seats, it got 2 more seats from the other parties, or votes from the other parties, Braden.
It's going to be interesting to see that extra vote, that 38th vote, where it came from. We can speculate as much as we want, but the fact is that enabled Panyaza Lesufi to be elected by the majority in the House. There were 60 MPLs at the time of the vote, as you've said, the Moloko. Now, what are going to be his priorities as he assumes office? What has Hendrik Panyaza Lesufi said?
Well, Braden, I'm having difficulties in hearing you, but let me tell you that we had an opportunity as members of the media to sit down with the new premier, Panyaza Lesufi. Firstly, he had to take an oath after his election in the chamber. He came into one of the offices here, and Deputy Judge President Obrile Dwaba has to administer the oath of office for the new premier to now start being able to exercise his executive authority. Now, the premier said that tomorrow at about 2 o'clock, he is going to make an announcement announcing the new members of the Provincial Executive Council. He's actually here with me, Braden. Ntate Lesufi. Yes, but tell our viewers what you're going to be looking at when you assemble your team of MECs.
It's a difficult task. It's a difficult task. I'm of the view that you need to check the task first, unpack it, and on the basis of that, assign people that can execute it. You need skill, you need talent, but you need commitment and hard work, because, as I said in the House, the new struggle is not the big that defeat the weak. is the quicker one, that run fast, that defeat those that are slow.
One of the commitments you made, Premier, is that you are going to fight lawlessness, crime, as well as corruption, and you said this is non-negotiable. Take us through how you're going to do that.
No, I'll come back. Let's go and assess the capacity we have, because you can't pronounce and the capacity does not meet I worked in government as an administrator before, and I've seen ministers announcing when things don't have budget, you don't have plans, you don't have personnel. So I don't want to fall in that trip. So I'm going to assess. That's why we didn't make any major announcement on anything. We are going to assess the capacity and other thing. But crime, development and improvement of townships, informal settlements and hostels, it's non-negotiable. Our people can't stay in areas where they are staying now.
Yeah.
If they continue to stay in those areas, then our freedom is meaningless.
Yeah, just the last one. We were speaking to the DA Solim Simanga here. He's really saying, look, nothing is going to change of faces, same political party, same system. And he was lamenting the issue of transparency or lack of it, specifically on the issue of corruption, and pointing to the 400 million rand that we know that was actually spent for the disinfection of schools during the COVID lockdown. You, as much as you once briefed the legislature there, you haven't made that SIU report public, and some people are saying, okay, maybe
by SIU, not me. Remember, SIU reports to the president. Is the one that released the report. The report was released long ago. It's just people rehatching things. I mean, that report even acknowledges that I played my role by reporting that thing. It doesn't. No, my name is not there. My fingerprints are not there. My friends are not there. So it's people who have run out of ideas that just want to argue any other thing.
Now, in terms of holding accountable those who spend that money unlawfully, I'm not too sure what you have done as MEC of Education. You are now the #1 citizen. What's going to happen there?
Those people are charged. That I'm saying, people are lazy to read. 4 people were charged, senior people, the chief directors, I think there are 2, and directors. They've gone to a hearing. The hearing, I think, have finalized their sittings, and they made their recommendations. So everything has been done. It's just, as I said, people will rehatch because there is a new opportunity. And if Soli says, I'm not transparent, I'm hardly
an hour in.
I'm saying. So,
all right. Well, Braden, the new Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, as I said, he promises to announce the new members of the provincial cabinet tomorrow, and he says then they are going, as the Provincial Executive Council, to go into what he calls the Cabinet Lekgotla to thresh out the plans that, as the province, they are going to be implementing. And as you said, heard from him, they will then be making more announcements. But another point that he made, Braden, was that he says that he's going to be meeting with the Finance Minister, Gauteng, who was also in the gallery. He says there's a major announcement that they will be signing, and they will make an announcement in that regard. He was asked by the media whether that announcement perhaps has to do with the elimination of the e-tolls, and he says, look, we're not going to divulge that, but we know his views. He's saying that the e-tolls must go. As to whether they will go, we will wait to see, because even up to now, we know that the former Premier tried to have them gone, but they are still here. I'm not too sure, if Braden, whether you still have time for me to speak to Mr. Solim Simanga. Mr. Simanga, the Premier says it's not true that he has not held people accountable for the 400 million rand scandal.
Well, where is the report? Where are the people in uniform, in orange uniform right now? This is why I've said earlier on that we're not expecting anything new. We're expecting smoke screens all over. We're expecting cover-ups all over. But more than that, we're expecting that those reports that are substantially implicating people are not going to see the light of day. Why? Because some of the people that the Premier, the newly elected Premier, answers to are implicated in those reports. Some of them are sitting in his own PEC. Some of them are sitting at a national level. And they're not going to come out because once they do come out, it means that people are going to go to jail. And this is what has also sunk David Makhura as we speak.
Yeah, you remain leader of the official opposition in the legislature. All these issues that you are talking about, how are you going to make sure that you hold him accountable to a point that you, or at least the people of Gauteng, will see you to be doing your job?
What we will continuously do is to put in applications for access to this information. And over and above that, we will be coming to you as members of the media and the public and reporting to say, we have been told that this is what is going to come out and it's not coming out. And therefore, you must then make the judgment at the end of the day to say, was he honest in his remarks that, there will not be any holy cows here, or was just again smoke screen, as we have seen with Cyril Ramaphosa when he took over from Jacob Zuma. He promised us there will never be any holy cows. He promised us, a whole lot of things will be done better. But in fact, in certain instances, things have actually even regressed even further. Therefore, we are saying the problem here is not an individual that is in an office. The problem is an organization that in itself cannot get rid of corruption, in itself cannot ensure that capable people are put in positions to be able to deliver to the people of this province and this country. And that's the problem there.
Yeah. So, Mr. Msimanga, the DA that you lead has only 20 seats in this legislature. The ANC has 37. Yet you contested Mr. Lesufi. Where did you think the numbers would come from to make you premier?
Well, first of all, we have said and will remain resolute that we are the only alternative to the governing ANC. And therefore, we cannot say to the people out there that we are an alternative, yet come in here and endorse what we know is wrong in this legislature. We're the only party, and we want to thank those that have voted with us. And there's the Freedom Front that has also voted with us to then say we need to show that there is an alternative. It cannot be that we walk out, as we have seen, the EFF walking out and not participating in this important vote that has just taken place. And this is why we are saying, from a DA perspective, we are going to be, planting ourselves in the minds of the voters that we are the only alternative to the votes come 2024.
Yeah. Just lastly, on a lighter note, the Premier, when we were speaking to him here, he said that he will be looking at the pool, all the 73 MPLs. If he happens to pick you or anyone from the DA to serve in the Provincial Executive Council as MEC, would you accept the offer?
Well, we will only consider that if he announces all the reports and he make them public, because then it shows to us that there is a serious drive to root out corruption. We will only do that if we will only consider that if we can see that there is a clear plan to not only root out corruption but to also fast track the delivery of services and prioritizing, the funding of SAPs from a provincial perspective, the reconfiguration and the funding of hospitals at a provincial level, the fast tracking of ensuring that at a school level, there is better registration processes that are being put in place. Because right now, parents are frustrated out there that now they have to look at schools for their kids that is 40 kilometers away instead of, ensuring that within the 5-kilometer radius there's something that is happening. So there's a lot of things that will not be attracted to us just because there's a position or there's a salary that has been offered. What will attract us is seeing concrete evidence that we are moving in the right direction. But as things stand, I don't think we are.
So Msimanga, thank you so much for your time. Raden, well, there you have it. We heard, as I conclude, from the new Premier saying that he's actually going to be continuing to implement the programs which the former Premier David Makhura was busy implementing, saying that those are the programs of the collective government of Gauteng.
Yeah, two main things we'll all be looking out for, Moloko. It's the announcement, this big announcement in relation with the National Minister of Finance that is going to be signed an agreement. Is it e-tolls or not? We'll have to wait and see. And the other one is, of course, is the new executive that by the end of business tomorrow, by the close of business tomorrow, Panyaza Lesufi says he wants to have announced his new provincial cabinet. Thank you very much, Moloko Moloto, also there door-stopping the new Premier as he was leaving the legislature and also having a word with the DA's Msimanga, who lost the premiership vote to Panyaza Lesufi of the ANC.